Astroturfing is a huge business in the United States, and what they do is they get these public relations companies, it's normally public relations companies, to set up a kind of a fake grassroots organization.
Yeah.
And sometimes it'll involve scientists, so you'll have scientific expertise, but it looks like a big sort of movement often, or some kind of big organization that's an authoritative voice on a particular subject area, and it's being done all around. It gets done around everything from, I'm sure they had them when there was big public debate about seat belts years ago, and certainly around various kinds of chemical issues and waste disposal issues and automobile safety issues.
Seatbelts, same argument. It'll bankrupt the industry if we have to put seatbelts in every car.
Exactly, but the problem is, as a public relations person who represents industry, when you as an industry or as a company say that, you're discredited because people see that you have a strong vested interest.
Yeah.
So you basically need to do something about the fact you don't have credibility on the issue. So you have to create entities that do have or that don't have that same credibility problem, right? Yeah. So that's where astroturfing comes from, and it's unbelievably powerful because people just see the news. They don't, if it makes it through the media filter, because the organization seems to have credibility, and these guys are really good at manufacturing news. It just looks like news. When it gets repeated enough, people start to think that way. And in the States, you don't just have one or two of these. There's hundreds of these groups. So there's money, oil money and automobile money coming in to all these different organizations who are all kind of echoing this certain kind of message. And it starts, and in this case, it's an easy message, that the science isn't clear on climate change. Absolutely, that's true. It's true. Now, what they're not telling you is the science is very clear that climate change is actually happening and that we're causing it with greenhouse gases, and that potentially, if we don't curb these things, the potential impact of this could be disastrous. That's pretty clear. The rest, there's a lot of, how long it's going to take the ice cover in the Arctic to melt. It's not really clear how long that might take. Could be much quicker. In fact, a lot of things are happening quicker than scientists expected them. So it's kind of the truth. It's kind of a truthiness thing. But it's not really true. But that's what spin is. It's taking something that's partly true and then using it to kind of convince somebody of something that's actually not true. And these people are very, very good at it. Businesses can't do that. There are all sorts of liabilities and responsibilities that boards of public companies and officers of public companies have, that these guys in these organizations, which I think a lot of they should be illegal, a lot of these organizations. Certainly what they're doing is absolutely immoral. It surprises me they can sleep at night. And there's a lot of them, and I think that this echo chamber, there's a concept called echo chamber, where the idea is that you get these phony grassroots organizations, these astroturf organizations, and then you get these pseudoscience organizations, and then maybe think tanks, and they all start saying various things, and they coordinate those things that they're saying with a certain kind of public policy discussion that's going on. And it really does have a big impact, because a lot of these sources have huge media. They'll have public relations departments who are on the phone setting up interviews with CNN and Fox News, and before you know it, all you see on Sunday morning news, if you're watching American news or even Canadian news, is these folks up there talking about this. And eventually, after a few weeks, it becomes part of popular thinking.
Conventional wisdom.
Yeah, it is something that people should really pay attention to. The public relations industry is a big, big industry. And let me tell you, most things that you see in the media come from news releases. And most news releases come from PR people. And most PR people represent industries that are trying to protect certain kinds of interests. So I would certainly take most of this stuff with a grain of salt. And certainly anything that you hear about climate science being really unclear, I'd take that with a grain of salt, because as far as the scientists are concerned, it's not unclear.